That's the one thing I want to talk about today is the presence. Be present with your partner, but also important, feel your sensations and his body. As a man, it's not in our genes, unfortunately. We don't know how to feel our emotions and how to sense our body. What man minds always switch because we are so wired, we are so much wired to thinking. Even at that moment, you are thinking about, okay, what I'm going to do next? What does she like?
No,
Or while you are even just doing oral sex, you are thinking about the next moment. Okay, I'm doing this. Now I need to do that because she likes that. Whenever you start thinking that, you are not anymore present there. You are in the future.
yeah, well, it reminds me of when I do yoga, like, or when we did our yoga teacher training, and I just surrender to the practice and I find that flow. And if I'm worrying about achieving something, then I'm not enjoying it. But if I just go into it and enjoy every breath and just let each breath follow without wondering what will happen next, then the whole thing becomes this beautiful dance or this really great kind of breathing meditation. Um, and so it just made me think about how yoga is a really great way to kind of connect to that.
Exactly, that's a very good point. Same with the meditation. What we are trying to do with the meditation, we try to ease our mind, ease our thoughts, eliminate that thoughts. It's exactly the same thing. It could be, you need to treat the sexuality as a meditative state. You are totally present with your body and with your actions. Whatever you are doing, just focus on to that. They
Yeah.
said that focus on your breath at meditation. Put all your attention, your mind and your heart to the action you are doing. Same with the intercourse too.
I love that because it just makes me think about, like, if I'm having a really good kiss and I become completely caught in the kiss, I'm not thinking about anything else at all. And I'm really just enjoying the pleasure of the lips, of the tongue, the interaction between the two of us, the intimacy between the two of us. And that becomes everything. And it's so much more enjoyable. It's so much more pleasurable.
That you reminded me some other thing. That's so true. Whenever I talk about sexuality, I will immediately jump into the oral sex and the intercourse. But sexuality is more than that. So it starts from the hugging, looking, and just feeling to each other. And the kiss is a very essential part. The sensuality, just feeling the senses strongly. Of course, we are using mostly our hands, our tongue, and lips. This is what's happening in the intimacy. So
Yeah.
be present with your all the senses. Of course, with your look, this is very important part of it because the eyes, we maybe spoke about it earlier. The eyes are the bridge to the souls
Yeah.
because that's how we connect with each other as a spiritual bodies
Yeah.
through the eyes. So that's always recommended to look to the other's eye, to the left eye. Left is
Yeah.
receiving, right is giving.
I remember you
But
saying
it
that.
doesn't really matter which eye you are looking at. But focus on the eye, whatever you are doing. Be present with your eye and be present with your actions and with
Mm.
your senses.
And so, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that if I want to be more present with my actions, more present with that intimacy, I really should slow down and just focus on the movements or on the actual action, the thing that I'm doing more than anything else.
There are two elements there, one positive, one negative with the concentration and the focus. When you focus so much, you may end up with the premature ejaculation because you are so much into the senses, so much in there. So that's one important thing. So the second thing is very important there, slowing down, because as much as you slow down, you start feeling better. When people are on drugs, so they feel that the time is lapsing slower. So that's the thing. Without the drugs, you need to be there. This is happening with the being present there all the time. Your focus will not be diverted to something else. You will be always there.
Eckhart Tolle, who had The
Yeah.
Power of Now. And I remember reading that, I think I was like 19, And it changed my life because I just started to learn how to just observe things without judging them, you know, making a story out of them. And sexually, it's the same. It's like if I'm worried too much about helping my girlfriend achieve an orgasm or about myself achieving an orgasm, if I'm so focused on that, I'm going to completely lose myself and I'm going to lose that connection to my partner. And then I feel lost, I guess is the best word. You know, I lose.
You are not anymore present at that space. That's what
And
it
then the
is. You
feeling,
are always a
yeah.
future.
And then I go into my head, and then it's like I need to be stimulated in my head. But
Yeah.
when I allow myself to come back to the moment and I'm there in that moment, I don't necessarily need that mental stimulation, or I don't need anything else. I'm happy with what I have. And I think the eyes is also a really great example of that. Is like it's the bridges to the souls. And so when we connect to someone through the eyes, you know, you can feel when someone is really with you and when they're not, and you can feel when you're with someone and when you're not. And so it's a really great indicator. Like relationship is a wonderful indicator of how present you really are, because
That's the one important, sorry, I cut it. That's one
oh,
important thing. People do not look at their each other's eyes when they're talking. This is something, it became a habit among the people now because it is against your comfort zone. You are opening yourself. That's the reason people do not like it, being open to the other. But in sexuality, you are open because that's what you are doing. You need to be vulnerable. You need to give. You need to let go everything and give yourself to the other.
the lovely part about that is I find the more vulnerable I am with someone and they're with me, that it's actually very sexually stimulating because you feel this connection, and the vulnerability is just in itself, it's like someone is basically saying, here I am in all myself. I'm
Mm.
not going to hide, I'm not going to pretend, I'm just going to be both in that place, in that
Mm.
space, and you're encouraging that space. And that space, I think, is we've talked about in previous sessions. That's the totality, right? So you're kind of encouraging that totality.
The surrender is also important. We talk about the vulnerability, opening up yourself, and totally surrender yourself to the space, to your partner.